Yeah, good morning. It's December 26th, the day after Christmas, 2011. This sermon recap is for Christmas Eve, obviously 12/24, 2011. First, by way of as a place to beginning, I'm wearing my new Lutheran Student Association LSA T-shirt. By way of invitation, if you watch these and enjoy them and would ever feel compelled or would wish to make an offering to us as a congregation or to a Lutheran Student Association, know that we do campus ministry out of our congregation, and those dollars for campus ministry across the church are beginning to dry up some and become more difficult to get a hold of. So again, if you watch these and enjoy these and would like to take part in our ministry, just go to our webpage, universitylutheran.org, and there you'll find an address, 110 Garfield Ave in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Some of this, as far as the recap, is kind of a backdrop to the sermon. Not all of this made it into the sermon, but it's important to how the sermon came to be. For Christmas Eve, we used the traditional Luke story, Luke chapter 2. And Luke does this amazing job of putting Jesus' birth in the context of the day, of the context of the people and the places of the day. Now, it came about in those days that a decree went out from Caesar Augustus that a census should be taken of all the world, that all the world should be registered. So Luke uses the term Caesar Augustus and uses the term that Quirinius was governor of Syria, that these are the titles of the people in which the time that Jesus comes. And yet, Luke, more than the other gospel, uses the word Savior. Unto you is born in this day in the city of David a Savior, a Lord, a Christ. And some of those same terms, not Christ so much, not Messiah, but the other terms would have been used of Caesar Augustus. And so it's as if Luke is saying, sure that these people are Caesar Augustus and Quirinius is governor, but here is one who, in using the same terms of Lord and Savior, trumps them. Because all the world should be taxed, all the world should be registered in this Caesar Augustus, but then Luke continues in the subtlety of language to say, unto you, unto all of you, unto the whole world, a Savior is given. So that somehow in this little story of Caesar Augustus, there is this bigger story, this grander story of a Jesus who is born of a virgin who comes as Savior. That the shepherds come and the angel said, behold, I bring you good tidings of a great joy for all people, that there is something wondrously grand about this Christ. And so the sermon simply was this on Saturday night. That I talked about needing to leave the room as a kid when the Wicked Witch of the West came on to the Wizard of Oz, and then as a way of entry into the Christmas thought is that even as a kid watching Frosty the Snowman with the bad magician, the busy magician with his magic hat, that every time Frosty came alive, I also needed to come to go get a glass of milk or to go get some cookies or to leave the room, because it just seemed not enough that when Frosty came to life that he would simply say every time happy birthday, that he should at least have said Merry Christmas or something like that. The oldest greeting in the church is the Lord be with you, and typically the people, or you would respond to that, and also with you. We have record of that being a greeting in the church soon after the first century, after Jesus is and ascends. And I simply made the point that even though there's Old Testament precedent for that, Boaz says it in Ruth, that has to have taken on new meaning, and so why it is that it's the most common greeting in the church, that has to take on new meaning in our understanding of who Jesus is in us, with us. That he is God with us, and so to say to someone, to bless someone, to pray towards someone, the Lord be with you, and have them answer, and also with you, certainly takes on a bigger meaning. That here's the one who's Emmanuel, God with us in the flesh. That he takes on flesh with hand and foot and side. See my hand, foot, and side. Do not doubt, but believe. That this greeting, the Lord be with you and also with you, has to be a far more profound and wider and deeper meaning in who Jesus is. So that when we say Merry Christmas, I said to the people that we say that almost with a wink, because what we really are saying in this kind of typical holiday greeting. What we're really saying as the people of hope who understand this grand message of a Christ who comes in the days of Caesar Augustus to all the people, to be a hope for all the people. That this one who was the Word before anything was, and that he came to his own, and the world did not know him, but we know him. That to say Merry Christmas is really to pray, the Lord be with you, and also with you. Because we speak that into a world. We speak that into a world that is. We speak that into the world that is dark and frightening and disorienting and despairing. Because we speak that into a world that is Iraq and Afghanistan. On Facebook these last weeks, Time Magazine pictures of the year. And so we see these amazing images of these, mostly, not always, but mostly of these really difficult things in life. The tsunami in Japan, and the war pictures, and the starvation pictures in Africa. That we speak this hope into that world, a world that really is dark. That we don't have to make up the despair of the world into which the hope of Christ comes. That's obvious. But we speak this hope into that. We don't deny that. We don't pretend not to see that. We don't make less of that. That Advent begins in the days that grow darker and darker and darker, and so the church uses these days, in the midst of, at least in the northern hemisphere, in the days of winter, to speak the hope of Jesus as the light of the world that comes into the world, that is the life of all people, and that the darkness does not get it, does not understand it, does not comprehend it, does not diminish it. We speak this hope into that world, in a world that is dark, far closer to home than just those faraway pictures and faraway places. Car accidents, locally that have taken the lives of some young people, that we are the ones who, in seeing who this Jesus is in this world, in the world when Caesar Augustus was emperor, and that all the world is taxed, all the world is registered, all the world is dying, it's into this that Christ is born, and angels come, and God bends, that God has rent the heavens and come, and we see it, we know it. We are the ones who speak that hope that then is already present, already breaking in, already has changed us and the world, and that it is for us to speak that. It is for us to know it and to speak it directly into that world, even if it's in the normal, traditional, fluffy Merry Christmas. To know that you pray into that person, into this world, into this darkness, into this tragedy, into this despair, into this joy, into this family celebration. The Lord be with you, and also with you. Merry Christmas to you. A blessed Epiphany as that comes next. Happy New Year 2012. Grace and peace to you in all things.